welcome back to another episode of the Legacy Gambit. Today we have a very special episode of Learning Legacy, technically. This weekend is the European Legacy Masters 2024. Now, for folks who will know that this is something that I've been very, very passionate about since its inception, and today I wanted to have a chance to talk to the co-chair and founder of the project to tell you about the event itself, the history of it, the players who are attending, a bit about the qualification meta, and also just how we think that Legacy will look like at this big invitational. If you obviously enjoy the content that we make for you, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Enjoy, we're growing every single day, every single week, and it is no thanks to you. And today I am, of course, joined by co-founder Tom De Decker. Tom, please introduce yourself. Who are you? And then let's talk about this very cool thing, because I'm so hyped. I cannot believe how hyped I am.
Hi, Sahar. Thank you for having me. So I'm Tom, the ELM representative for Belgium, but also, as you said, the co-chair and co-founder of the European Legacy Masters. I'm a long-time Legacy enthusiast. I've been playing for ages, also been a judge and a TO for the Belgian Legacy Cup. And just 3 years ago, when hanging out at Four Seasons Bologna, a few of us got this crazy idea. How about we organize the European Legacy Championship ourselves? And this is now the third year where we are actually doing it. So the European Legacy Masters is coming soon on September 7th. Couldn't be more hyped about it. We have a bunch of amazing players traveling to Bologna. It's going to be amazing. We're going to stream it all on Twitch. Make sure to check it out.
Yeah.
We have some amazing casters, some amazing prizes, but I'm sure we'll go through all of that.
So, Tom, right to the top, let's talk about, the European Legacy Masters, what is it? If someone doesn't know, they've been living under a rock, and they're like, I have no idea what this is. What's the top level pitch that we tell people?
Yeah, so it's a community-driven European Legacy Championship. It builds on top of all the Legacy events going on locally that we all know and love, but where in the past these events, they all stood by themselves and they didn't really feed into anything. Like back in the day when we still had GPs, you could play a GP trial that earned you a buy for a GP that could potentially even qualify you for the Pro Tour. There was a path and a story there you could find yourself in.
Yeah.
But when all of that went, there was nothing really left. There were only single day events, and some of those were great. I mean, many of those were amazing, but it just felt so pointless. And we decided that enough was enough. We'll have to, if we want something to look forward to, if we want to create these amazing stories, we'll just have to do it ourselves.
Yeah.
So every country, they get allocated a number of slots, which their representative can distribute among the local events just as they like. Aside from that, we also have premier qualifiers, which is all the big events with 100 or more players. We also invite the winners of those ones. And if you put those all together, you get to about 128 players this year who qualified over the course of 110 different events. Over 8,000 players, I believe we had across events to compete. And now we're just down to these 120. I think we'll have about 115 who show up eventually, competing for the title and some amazing prizes in Bologna.
Oh, I am so stoked. This also, folks, I have to say, because I've been involved from like day one, pretty much. I was very instrumental in making sure the first edition got off the ground. But one thing that's alarming when I tell people about the project and the whole championship as a whole is very much that, like, the first year we had like 30, 40 events, maybe a few hundred players who qualified in them in like a 3-4 month period. We then had maybe like 80 events last year. We had maybe like 5,000-6,000 people who qualified across like 20 odd countries. And then this year we've had 24 countries, as I said, and so 8,000 people over 100 events. That's genuinely insane. If someone said to me, hey, we can find you 8,000 Magic players for what is effectively a dead format, apparently someone keeps telling me, I'd be like, sign me up. And that's basically what's happened, is that, I feel like the community at large have kind of come together and we've been like, you know what, let's just give Legacy players something to look forward to that isn't just Eternal Weekend. that's something. This is before Eternal Weekend came back. We'd restarted this. So, but yeah, 7th of September, again, Tom said it's being streamed live on Twitch. Twitch.tv/European Legacy Masters. Starts at 10:30 Central Time, so 11:30 for your UK folks. And is being led by a friend of the show, Luke K. Obviously, it's in beautiful Bologna because Bologna is beautiful and Four Seasons is great. Go to Four Seasons, folks. If I've told you about it, every people will tell you about it. Prizes, beautiful prizes, beautiful prizes. So this is just a little splash screen of what we're expecting. We have about 2,000 euros of this credit. We've got some beautiful prizes from Ultimate Guard. We've got some playtest jewels we get through. Get to this playmat. Let's get to the thing. First, let's talk about this picture. Four Seasons is offering the winner this incredible one-of-one painting as a opportunity to have a one-of-one painting. Eternal Weekend doesn't have it, but we do. And Tom, this painting is so good. It's huge as well, isn't it? It's meant to be like it's not dinky. It's a sizable piece.
It's a big one. It's going to be quite a challenge to take it home for whichever lucky player manages to win the event. But yeah, it's absolutely gorgeous. It's going to look great as a trophy and add to the eternal bragging rights that come with winning the European Legacy Masters, of course. So, of course, we couldn't be more grateful towards Andrea, who so graciously offered us this painting, which he had commissioned especially for Four Seasons as well. But this is a one-of-one.
Yeah.
There's amazing price, and we hope all the more reason for the competitors if they can.
We will be unveiling this in terms of its beauty at the player meeting, so the players can get to see it in the flesh. And I can't wait to show it to them. Now, folks, everyone gets a fancy playmat. The top 8 get the fanciest playmat. So, one of our other sponsors, shout out Boza MTG, Gianluca Boza, absolute king that he is, has been our sponsor pretty much from day one. And every year we get commission playmats for the top 8. And this year, Chichi Venkman has literally knocked it out the park. This playmat is incredible, Tom. Look at this frog.
Quite topical too, with the frog, of course. We do expect to see a lot of frogs at European Legacy Masters.
Yeah.
And so when Chichi offered us to make a playmat, that's one of the pointers I gave her. She asked if I wanted it to be cute or creepy, and I told her to do what she thought was best. But knowing Chichi's style, I figured we were in for something special.
Yeah.
So here you have it, an Eldritch Frog. Couldn't be better if the expectation is Frogs versus Eldrazi at the ELM.
Basically, yeah. We'll get to.
And I've seen the pictures of the actual playmat, and they have imprinted, and the colors really pop. So I'm sure the top 8's very, very happy with it.
I didn't realize there's a bird of paradise here as well. That was kind of cool. I got so distracted by the frog. Just a bird here living his best life. Also, Ultimate Guard, shout out Ultimate Guard. Yeah, I can't wait. There's so many goodies. And one thing so from the beginning, one of the things that we were quite passionate about in terms of giving prizes out is giving something that's like memorable. So not only are we giving these playmats away, not only give away goodies from Ultimate Guard, people can get playmats and stuff like that. Is the In Response podcast, who are part of the Austrian contingent in terms of organising stuff for Austria, had this idea.
And also part of our caster team.
Also
Don't
part
forget,
of our shout-out.
You'll get to see our beautiful boys on camera commenting the best legacy Europe has to offer.
Shout out to them.
So ever since the first year, we were looking for something special to give to all of our competitors, a little memento, a little token of appreciation for coming to Bologna and putting up a great show. And the Austrian mastermind, Funky Chino on Twitter, he quite a while ago posted an holiday picture of a tropical island. I think it's near the coast of Croatia.
Yeah.
With the famous words, "I found it, guys." And we were so inspired by that picture that we decided, why can't we make 10 of these into a custom duels? I also think it's nice that they represent our philosophy towards proxies.
Yeah, 100%. So each player who is invited to the ELM will be getting a little participation box with some sleeves and deck plays and one of these playtest jewels, and then the top 8 get a playset of each. So a playset of the 10, and I love them. I think these are great. I think I've been told by the In Response boys there's new artwork for some of them this year, and that is going to be great. We also have some stuff at the bottom about proxy guidelines because we actually care about proxy. Let's touch on that for a second, Tom. For us, it was very important that card availability wasn't going to hinder the ability for players to play Legacy, because we are not a sanctioned tournament, folks. This isn't putting into a pro tour. We're not doing anything like that. So we kind of had, kind of our own decision on how we should approach that. And for us, having playtest friendly, proxy friendly environments means that people get to play Legacy, which is kind of the whole point. Last year, and I think the year before, we had breakout decks. Funny enough, actually, Tom, I don't think you realise this. 2 mono-coloured decks have won.
And not a single brainstorm deck.
And not a single
right?
2 Ancient Tomb decks. Not a single brainstorm deck.
Exactly.
I love it. As an Ancient Tomb fangirl, I approve of this message.
You're absolutely right that it's we find it very important to keep the format accessible, and I think all of us, we strongly believe that proxies play a major part in that, in
100%.
keeping the format accessible and growing excitement for the format, because the reserve list is not going anywhere, and the prices of these cards just keep going up, because that's what supply and demand does.
Yep.
And there's a lot of demand, not just from us legacy players, but from various other formats as well. Pre-modern for certain cards. So it all makes everything prohibitively expensive, especially for newer players.
Yeah.
And the whole thing about ELM, the whole trick, is that the main event is really just a cherry on top of the cake. The cake is really the qualifier season, because that's what we want players to be excited about.
Yeah.
Because that's taking place all year long.
Yeah.
And in the qualifier season, we know that some communities already have embraced proxies and others haven't. And we don't want to impose upon any single community to adapt to what we think is best. We want them to figure that out for themselves.
Yeah.
But we also don't want to create a discrepancy where somebody qualifies with a deck they maybe don't have all the cards for, because locally they can play with proxies, but then would have to scramble to find, I don't know, Tabernacle or something crazy to just play the ELM finals. That also didn't make any sense to us.
Yeah.
So we allow proxies at the finals, of course, with some specifications. We want the cards to still look good and recognizable for coverage reasons. We of course want everybody's deck to be fair and unmarked and tournament legal. So all of that stuff, you won't see any profanity on the stream with us, naturally, unless our casters truly let themselves go.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't expect that. Yeah, so we do embrace proxies, and these duels are kind of a testament to that.
So let's talk about some of the players who qualified. So we've got, like I said, Tom was about 115. And so every year we put up player profiles. Once they've qualified, they have a little form they fill out about who they are, what they did, what their favourite deck is, just like a who's who, effectively. And we put them on our website, EuropeanLegacyMasters.com. And Tom, we've got some fun stories about some of these countries that we've got. So obviously we've got 24 countries who are sending players. Let's start off with Austria. I feel for the Austrians this year because they had like 5 qualifiers and they just got conquered by every other country, which is not.
They actually had 6.
Oh, they had 6. My apologies.
Not to put salt in the wounds. So Austria, they've been building an excellent legacy community there, both in the capital of Vienna, where the guys from 341 are doing these 1K events, but they had a rough qualifier season. So they were rewarded with 6 slots because of their amazing player attendances. And then players from Slovakia, players from Germany, they all came down to Austria to conquer some of their invites. And in the end, there's only 2 Austrians left, but I'm sure they'll give the other competitors hell.
Exactly. Also, Tom, while we're here, let's talk about your home country of Belgium. You've got 3 players coming.
We had 4 invites, one of which was conquered by Jin Liu from Luxembourg.
Yep.
And then our national championship, the Belgian Legacy Cup, which was won by Nico. I'm not going to try to pronounce his last name. Yeah, that's the one.
Well, we'll get to Nico in a minute.
Carlos was actually born and raised in Spain.
Oh,
but he's been living and gaming in Antwerp for a few years now, so he's very much part of the Belgian community.
Yeah.
And then Remy is actually a very all-time friend of mine from Ghent. We used to play together as filthy casuals back in, I would say, the early 2000s, before we were ever involved in any competitive Magic whatsoever. And then he took a giant break from the game for years, but he came back about 2 years ago, still interested in Legacy. And this year he really found his stride, won a few local events, and then all the way at the tail end of the season took down Bazaar of Boxes 12.
That's
always
cool.
Nice for a Belgian to see a fellow countryman go take it down across the border in the Netherlands, because there's a friendly rivalry between these 2 countries. So happy to see Remy here. It's one of his first actually big events that he's playing. So it's going to be interesting to see how he does.
And Elias is obviously coming back again. Obviously, ELM winner Francis Okuda coming back. We invite the first and second place. We've got obviously Team Denmark. We shout out the Danes are always crushing.
Yeah, can I quickly pick in on France?
Yeah, of course.
Before we move on, one of the great things in France is that this year they had their national championship back. It's the Coupe de France that had been going for, I think, over a decade until Corona hit.
Yeah.
And then during COVID, they stopped. But now they restarted it. So multiple of the players here qualified through that. So that's actually great to see, because the legacy scene there was having a hard time, but nature is healing. And then, when you get to Germany, that's, of course, the biggest fish in the legacy pond. It's by far, well, not by far, it's one of the closest communities, one of the biggest communities, and they have some really good players this year. They obviously, here we see Sebastian Bender, who made top 8 last year. Some people may remember him from Natural Order Gate. That was him in that match. And then, of course, we also have Johannes Gudbrod, who's one of the people going all the way to Austria to take down the qualifier in Vienna. There's Florian, who's the organizer of the Bottrop series.
Okay, I'll bring up Florian. I'll bring up Florian quickly. I'm so glad Florian Schiff is qualified. I have been meaning to go to Bottrop series ever since I heard about it. It's such a good initiative. Basically, folks, Bottrop is this small, is it a town? I want to say it's a town in Germany. But every other month, they run legacy events. And I'm not kidding when it's like anywhere from like 60 to 130 players that turn up. I'm like, where are all these Germans from? Where, like, but it's not even Germans, it's like a bunch of people from other places, and it's like a really nice community. They've really fostered it, and I honestly, when I met Florian for the first time last year, and just seeing how much effort they're putting in month after month, trying to encourage people from across different countries to come. It's nice seeing how initiatives like ours are bringing sort of the legacy community close together, and Bottrop is kind of a testament to that in terms of growth moving forward. So big shout out. Obviously we'll get to Johannes. So Johannes, Johannes Gudbrod is probably one of the best legacy players in Europe.
Definitely. He's been one of the crushers at the Card Market series when those were still going. And ever since, if you keep track of paper events, you see him make multiple top 8s a year. So obviously super strong competitor. One of the, I think you could say, one of the people spearheading the German team this year. Finally, we also have Farid in the German team.
Let me find Farid.
And he likes playing spicy decks as well. So I'm interested to see what he will bring. He's again a story of an ELM representative actually making it into the event. As you said, we have quite a few of those this year, which we can only encourage. The reps 100%. Put in a lot of work during the year, so they might as well enjoy playing Legacy themselves.
Every rep I know at least tries. Even Tom tries. And Tom is basically like doing project management on the day. So then we've got a couple of other countries. Iceland. I want to just touch on Iceland for half a second, because Iceland, the average age of the Icelandic team is like 21. Because there's 2 19-year-olds and a 28-year-old. They're all Zoomers.
Iceland only joined over the course of this year. But really exciting to see them. They're super enthusiastic about ELM. They're going to be a challenge for the casters to pronounce when it comes to the names, so that'll be fun as well.
That will be very fun. One thing I will say is that a bunch of these players only started playing Legacy fairly recently. Like, I think Stimir and Ingvi just started playing Legacy like a few months ago. So for me, that's also an amazing thing to hear, is that people who are new to the format pick it up, win an event, go on this journey, and I'm like, that's literally what the whole project's about, folks. Okay, let's get to Italy. Let's get to Italy very quickly. Italy is probably the strongest team, and
it's not probably, it's undoubtedly. The amount of legacy royalty that they have in the team is absolutely amazing. So you can just see Claudio Bonanni, multiple GP top 8s, Angelo Cadet, who actually barely travels outside of Italy, but just wins everything inside Italy, has like multiple Ovino Gadden top 8s, multiple Four Seasons top 8s. Then you have Marco Montani, the king of Four Seasons. His statistics are absolutely insane. We have Matteo Blasi, and Manuel Drudi, both of which can be considered like among the strongest Delver players, not just in Europe, but probably in the world. And even the ones I'm not like less familiar with, like Andrea Riva, if you look at his statistics, he's part of one of the strongest teams they have, the Wooded team. And he has insane results as well at the local level and even slightly below that. Fabrizio, he just went to France to get one of the spots from, I believe, their national championship.
The one I also want to shout
Yeah,
out.
absolutely amazing team.
Yeah, this team's incredible.
This team is absolutely the team to beat, and there's also 12 of them. So good luck, competitors.
There's so much good. Let's get to Luxembourg, because I want to shout out, firstly, we talked about Jin, but I want to shout out Ty.
Yeah, so it is indeed a funny story. Ty started with hosting legacy tournaments just at his house, and in some way it kind of reminds me of a small scale version of what happened with the BCDL, with the Buffalo Chicken Dip, which also started in Robert's house, as far as I know it. But so he started doing these small legacy events up to 16 players at his house, and he reached out to us to see if they could qualify for ELM, which of course they can. And so from there, this has really reignited the local scene, and it's been growing and growing until all of a sudden Ty decided to just quit his day job and start his own LGS, which is Mana Temple in Bergen. And so he launched the store, I believe, in July, and it looks amazing. I've seen some pictures of it. Really worth your while if you're in Luxembourg. It's not a big country, so if you're somewhere near, definitely go say hi to Ty. And so this ELM literally helped him change his life, and the legacy scene now in Luxembourg is great. And they got 3 slots. They managed to conquer one in Belgium, so now they have 4 competitors.
It's insane.
I'm really interested in meeting them.
Yeah.
Well, I've met some of them already, of course, at the qualifier.
Yeah.
But they're great guys.
I am so excited to see Ty and everyone. And then obviously friendly rivals, the Netherlands. The Netherlands also stacked team. They're also a very stacked team. Look at this team. This team is stacked. We also have so Martin van Wol is coming back from last year. I want to say Alex is coming back from last year, I want to say. And then another ELM representative in Jordi. Jordi's a newish, I think, I say newish, he's been ELM, he's been helping the Bizarre Boxes team to kind of split the Netherlands into different, because there's different legacy communities across the Netherlands. And every time I speak to the Dutch about legacy, they love it. They absolutely love it. Bizarre Boxes I've just they had one of their biggest events in
Tilburg.
It was in Tilburg.
Yeah, in Tilburg. And actually the football stadium of Willem II in Tilburg. So they're actually filling up football stadiums now, or at least big conference rooms in football stadiums. I was there, really cool event. And so Jordi is indeed one of the ELM reps. He's not tied to Bazaar of Boxes. So in the Netherlands, there's many small communities, but there's basically 2 communities that on a recurring basis host like semi-big or big events.
Yeah.
On the one hand, you have Bazaar of Boxes in Tilburg, and then on the other hand, you have Haarlem, where they have a really successful league. Jordi, I think it will be his 3rd actually time competing at ELM, so he's kind of becoming one of the steadfast players at this point. And then finally, there's also Tim van der Lans, who had quite a bit of success in the Card Market Series back in the day, and also the Dutch Open Series, which is actually the other major tournament series in the Netherlands. That's worth mentioning. They don't have a direct representative in the ELM committee, but they work closely together with Jordi and the guys from Bazaar of Boxes. Yeah. But so Tim is a long-time friend of mine, also a very, very proficient vintage player. So looking forward to seeing him compete.
I can't wait. Norway, we've got here Poland, obviously very strong team. Adam Goetas, another ELM rep who's qualified. Gonzalo Fernandez, also another ELM rep who's qualified. Like, we just got a bunch of the committees just qualified this year, which is very funny.
Turns out if you're super passionate about legacy, you oftentimes end up playing a lot of it and even winning some of it.
Exactly.
Go figure.
Slovakia. Now, I want to talk about Slovakia because we talked about Austria earlier. Slovakia, every year they play, every year that these players play, they either top 8, top 4, or win the damn thing. Samuel Zadrak was our first ever winner in 2022. Peter Lobotka top 8 at Eternal Weekend. I was very excited when that happened. Eric Zanto, one of the best players. Emil Polak, very proficient legacy and vintage player. I think Thomas Varga has been twice. Jakob, I think, is the
made top 8 last year. Thomas Varga.
He did make top 8 last year. You're correct, Tom. I've made memories.
Yes, he fell, I believe, in the quarterfinals. Yes. I don't know entirely sure, but he played Jeskai Control then. Like you said, Samuel won the first year.
Yeah.
Then second year, Samuel completely crashed and burnt, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Like we put him on the stream in the first round, and he was on Lance. He got absolutely murdered by Maverick, which is one of the worst matchups you can run into. So yeah, just even the best can have can have days like that. It shows. But then he just immediately requalified again by winning the qualifier in Vienna. If you look at the places where these people qualified, so Slovakia, they have one player qualifying in Vienna. Then they have two players qualifying in Budapest, which is also not in Slovakia. So then Emil also won in Vienna. So these guys, they get out. They won two of the 6 players actually only qualified in their own country. So these guys, they are absolutely not to be messed with. You can absolutely not underestimate Slovakia. They are secretly a dark horse to win any ELM. Honestly,
they are genuinely a crack team. Sweden, obviously, Sweden's always crack. They've always got some really good players who turn up. Switzerland have really good players who turn up. And then finally, I have to talk about my boys. My boys! I'm so psyched about my boys. Okay, so my boys. The UK have 4 players attending. I can't wait. They're incredible. Let us talk about. So let's talk about Nico first. Nico, conquered Belgium at the Belgian Legacy Cup. I was there. It was incredible. Nico, bless him. I'm so excited for him. I remember when Nico started playing Legacy and was like, Sahar, can I borrow Delver, please? And I was like, yeah, of course you can, Nico. And every time he played it, he top 8'd an event, and I was like,
yeah, but he showed all the boomers right. Because the Belgian Legacy Cup, he beat some of our very best players.
Very much so.
It is the most competitive event we have in Belgium. So seeing a young guy like him take it down is very impressive. Exactly. Looking forward to seeing him compete at ELM as well.
I can't wait. He's really my lot are really, really excited. Francis! Oh, shout out Francis Cowper. This is a Francis Cowper appreciation post. I love Francis. I think Francis is one of the best players, certainly in the UK. I'm going to say in Europe. For different reasons. Francis is probably one of the best deck builders I know. Francis is someone who will look at a metagame and try and figure out how he can combat it. I know we'll get to some of the qualifier meta, but I know Tom Francis are working with you on crunching the numbers because that's kind of what Francis is very passionate about. And qualified at the South Wales Legacy Showcase. Really, I can't wait to see what Francis brings. I've been informed it's spicy. That's all I've been told.
We can count on Francis to come up with some good brewing when it comes to deck building. Also a fellow vintage enthusiast. And if you look at just the results he has, it's a really nice spread of 4 seasons events. There's also a lot of local accomplishments that he has that couldn't even be listed on the profile. And then also there's a bunch of online events. People online might know him as FGC.
Yeah, and Top 16 Eternal Weekend.
So for sure somebody to look out for. And if he has a spicy deck, then we'll try and make sure to get him on the stream too, so the people can enjoy the cooking.
Oh, we love the cooking. Ibby! So let me talk about Ibby. Ibby started playing Legacy, I want to say 18 months ago, 2 years ago, started coming to our local London events. And just kind of month by month, making top 8s, making top 4, making... top 6, kind of just doing consistently well. And then when we had our London Legacy Monthly, Ibby won, and we won with Mono Black. That's Ibby's kind of bread and butter, loves that Mono Black deck to death. And then finally, we have to shout out my beautiful boy. Matt won 4 seasons last year. Jesus, it was December last year with Cloudpost. And got to qualify, crushed everybody at 4 seasons, and is coming back to... see if he can reclaim his title. He top 16 2022.
But now he's back. So let's see how he does. I've had the pleasure of teaming up with Matt before for the Friday Trios event. Always a nice feature at 4 seasons. Yeah, he's a crusher. Definitely also a contender for the top spot. But it's not going to be easy. There's stiff competition waiting for him.
Exactly, and I genuinely think that. Again, I'm very biased, folks. I think Team UK is great, but obviously Tom is going to think Team Belgium are great. I honestly want everyone to have the best time, and that's kind of thing. But Tom, before we wrap up, let's talk about what people qualify, because one thing this is kind of a passion project for you towards the end of before the event starts is you like to look at what people qualified with and try and see if we can predict a meta of what people qualified with. So there's obviously we have a spreadsheet of the actual counts and things like that, but we're going to just bring the handy dandy graph out. And I will just want to have a chance towards the end to kind of, the format's been in flux. Tom, let's not deny that the format's sort of been in flux. We've had, lame duck format, #bangrief, and you can kind of see that in this meta game breakdown in terms of what people qualified with. Unsurprising, the two top decks are the two top decks of the format in Dimir, in Rescam, and in Delver. So I'll be interested to see if this is synonymous of what people come with on Saturday, or whether there'll be a bit more of a shake-up and people will play different things, and maybe we have a slightly more healthier metagame than maybe the data maybe suggests. Be kind of keen to hear what you think.
It's always interesting trying to look at data like this, because of course it stretches a whole year, so it means it goes across multiple, you could say, formats in a sense, because Legacy continually evolves and changes. Take into account, just like every year until now, there's a big shakeup right before ELM, which is great for coverage. The first year we had the release of Wide Initiative on MTGO and kind of the format breaking in half because of it. The year after, we just had the release of the Lord of the Rings sets about 2 months or even a month prior to the event, and then the release of Wilds of Eldraine that very weekend.
Yeah.
And now we of course had the big Grief ban. So naturally we'll see that the decks that were funded by Grief did amazing. It's clear the win percentage of Rescaminator is through the roof, and something needed to give. Now, predicting what these players of us will play at the actual event now with Grief gone is a bit tougher to say. But if you look at the numbers here, there's a few conclusions you can probably go off. For example, the Eldrazi deck, even though it sees quite a bit of play online and has quite some good results, actually didn't qualify all that many players.
I think it's just one, isn't it? It's just one.
There's only one Eldrazi player actually managed to qualify. But in general, there's, I wouldn't say, not too many dedicated Eldrazi players here. There's a few more post players. But in a sense, this isn't looking like a metagame where you would see a lot of Ancient Tomb going purely based on the numbers. On the other hand, there's a lot of Days. I mean, Days has been eating well the entire year, just in general. So you could say that you if you weren't already convinced by that, you will have to play against tempo decks, probably at least a third, maybe even half of your rounds if you want to make it to top 8, because they tend to drift to the top quite easily, especially now with a beast of a card like Frog dominating. So that should definitely be the priority for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But then if you see the third most played deck is actually Lance, and that's also logical because Lance historically preys on Delver.
Correct.
So could be Lance, and another reason to maybe support Lance is that if you again look at this metagame, and that's of course because of the presence of Grief, there is very little combo in here. But so that means you have relatively few combo specialists, and Lance traditionally doesn't do great against combo, but does very, very well against the Days decks.
Yeah.
So that's a strong pick. And then there's some more exotic picks. There's multiple Painter pilots in here. Not too many, but Painter is quite a specialist deck. I think it's quite a difficult deck to pick up, but so those players potentially could be in a good spot.
Yeah.
And then there's always a few of the players we have in the invite list are control specialists, and you see the Beanstalk decks also being relatively well represented here.
Yeah.
And for those decks, it very much depends how they are built. That will determine their matchup against things like Painter, against the Stray Mystic Forge deck, which is running around as one of the few combo decks that managed to put up a fight. I would say a lot of Days, a lot of tempo, probably quite a bit of Lance, because I think the Lance players they tend to stick to their deck.
Yes.
And then a very big question mark how much combo will actually be present.
It'll be interesting to see how it shakes out. I definitely feel, I mean, Rescam is obviously like the tempo decks are probably going to be king. Lands is an interesting one because the Lands specialists who are qualified will play it. But Lands isn't a deck you just pick up. I wouldn't be surprised. I think the lack of combo is because of Grief. I would be, if there is combo specialists in that room, they will probably play some sort of combo deck. But I am imagining a load of like blue, black, X deck. Whether you're playing Grixis, whether you're playing straight blue-black, whether you're playing Tempo, whether you're playing Froginator, whatever the flavor you want. So I think that's probably going to be what happens, and then the decks are prey on that. So things like Lands, Painter. The Nardu deck is nowhere to be seen here, but I think the Nardu deck is an option.
It broke out too late, I think,
Yeah.
to make an impact. But indeed, I figure a few players might switch to that. There's quite a few mono black players in here.
Yes.
Curious to see what they would do, because those tend to be also like pretty diehard fans. There's also a few other sweet ones, which I'm hoping we can see again. Grix's Soothsayer looks very interesting to me. That's the Doctor Who cards. That suspense stuff. They usually play dinosaurs on a spaceship. So we can hope for that. Oracle Shift is also a sweet one, which I'm hoping to see. But who knows? It's going to be exciting. Just 3 more days, and then I will get some new deck lists to make a new graph.
Honestly, folks, tune in. It's going to be a hell of a good time. Me and Tom are going to be probably running around doing a bunch of stuff. You won't see us necessarily on the day, maybe, but we will be in the back end making sure the stuff happens. Honestly, thank you, Tom, for obviously coming in and having a chat about the ELM. Is there any final words or like key takeaways that you want to give our viewers before we sign off?
Yeah, this is as much as it is a project of us. The best you can do is to tune in on Twitch TV and watch us, and come chat with us, come hang out, watch the very best players, root for your team on social media, anything you can, because we want to get as many eyes on this as possible. And other than that, we want you to come out and qualify. Could come out to your local qualifiers throughout the year, play with your friends, and maybe you too can make it to the ELM finals next year, where we will have a couple of new surprises in store about that as well. But those will be announced later. But there's a bright future ahead of ELM, and we want you all to be a part of it. So come join us.
Yeah, let's go. I can't wait. Well, thank you, Tom, for hanging out with us. But it's going to get bigger and better every year. And it's no thanks to people who have, the 8,000 of you who have decided to join a qualifier at some point. Honestly, that still boggles my mind that still happens. And with that, thank you everyone for hanging out with us. We've had an amazing time talking about the European Legacy Masters. All the links and descriptions that we talked about will be in the description below. And until next time, it is a goodbye from me. Bye!